say that Deadpool is scared of something is kinda difficult because Wade Wilson usually faces his fears head on, using them to drive himself into action. But it's also because he's so insane that the concept of fear just isn't really the same as it is for the rest of us. But there are still a few people out there that he probably does fear, like himself. Wade was sent to the English prison of Crossmoor, where he met Dr. Ellen Whitby, who had been secretly obsessed with him for several years. Now, after going to her apartment, he found many of his own severed body parts in her fridge, and eventually Wade threw those body parts in a dumpster and he left. What happened afterwards is those parts thawed and they healed up together to form an even more deformed and very sadistic clone of Deadpool. This is evil Deadpool. Now, good Deadpool met evil Deadpool at his favorite chimichanga restaurant, which is when evil Deadpool decided to blow it up. So already, this guy is an absolute menace. Evil Deadpool is even more insane than normal Deadpool, and his entire goal was to basically prove to Deadpool that no matter how much he tries to be a hero, the world will always see him as a monster. Luckily though, for Deadpool, his evil doppelganger was cured of his healing factor and scarring, and then promptly passed away not too much later. Now, something you might notice about Deadpool is that he doesn't seem to have his own dedicated villain, but I can assure you he does. In fact, he has a couple. The one who may just be his number one goes by the name T-Ray. T-Ray was introduced in 1997's Deadpool #1 as another Merc who competed with Deadpool to be the best mercenary in the Hell House, which is a mercenary dispatch center that Deadpool frequented. To that end, he basically became like Deadpool's Sabretooth. T-Ray set Deadpool's mask on fire, setting Wade into a panic. Typhoid Mary later impersonated Siren and slept with Wade as part of T-Ray's plan to just mess with Deadpool. And after psychologically breaking Deadpool down, T-Ray nearly wiped him out physically and took over the Hell House. T-Ray also resurrected Wade's wife, Mercedes Wilson, before attacking him again. Deadpool was led to believe that T-Ray had taken out Mercedes years earlier, making the rivalry even more personal. Now, during the battle, it was actually revealed that T-Ray was in actuality the original Wade Wilson. T-Ray basically claimed that Deadpool was a mercenary who murked his wife, Mercedes, and stole his name. As a result, T-Ray trained to become a mercenary and get his revenge on Deadpool. Now, over the years, it became kind of unclear who the original Wade Wilson really was between Deadpool and T-Ray, but no matter who it was, these two have a pretty dark past that constantly brings them back into conflict. Ajax, otherwise known as Francis to anyone that doesn't really want to carry on living, is a truly sick puppy. Ajax was the enforcer for Dr. Killbrew, the man in charge of Hospice, which is the place that Deadpool was put after Weapons Plus gave him his healing factor and left him severely scarred. Now, while Deadpool hates Killbrew for the experiments that he conducted, it was really Ajax who made Deadpool's time there absolute hell. Probably the worst thing that he did is when he decided to lobotomize the prisoner closest to Wade at his time in Hospice, a guy named Worm. Now, Wade didn't want his friend to suffer, so he put him out of his misery by ending his life, and in response to that, Ajax tore out Wade's heart and left him for dead. This is when Wade's healing factor was first jump-started due to Wade's intense thirst for revenge against Ajax, which he definitely did get. The problem is that Ajax was then turned into a cyborg and he came back for his own vengeance, hunting all the surviving Weapon X victims with some absolutely brutal results. Now, I bet some of you guys didn't know that Deadpool has a daughter. In Jerry Dugan's Deadpool run, Wade's daughter Ellie was put in danger. Her father unknowingly infected her and others with a virus given to him by his sick and twisted former teammate, Madcap. Now, he was unable to find a successful cure, so Wade made a deal with Strife, the evil clone of his longtime friend, Cable. Strife gave him the cure that would save Deadpool's family, with the payment for this being that he'd owe Strife 4 lives in the future. Strife is the clone of Cable, which means that he is unaffected by the techno-organic virus that Cable is at all times, holding back using his powers so that it doesn't take over his entire body. Which subsequently means that Strife is wildly powerful, and even with Deadpool's healing factor, he doesn't stand a chance against this guy one-on-one. The Juggernaut, Kane Marco, absolutely despises Deadpool. It may be hard to actually say that Deadpool is afraid of the Juggernaut, or anyone really, but they have had a long rivalry that started all the way back in Deadpool's first ever solo series, and we do know that Wade does actually channel his fear in order to take on the very things he's afraid of, like when we learned he was afraid of clowns. Deadpool almost always manages to outthink the Juggernaut, which isn't really a crazy statement considering that's pretty much almost always how Juggy gets defeated. But they have faced off more times than you might think, and Wade is often left having to just evade, dodge, jump out of the way, throw Juggy's friends out of planes, make fun of him, or just pin him with trucks because the minute Juggernaut gets his hands on Deadpool, he will 100% turn his face into a pancake. Kind of like Juggernaut, I think mostly everyone in the Marvel Universe has good reason to be afraid of the Incredible Hulk. That has been proven on many occasions. Now, I know what people are going to say. I know some of you are clickety-clacking on your keyboards telling me that in Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, he took out the Hulk by taking out Bruce Banner. Sure, that makes no sense. Earth 616 canon Deadpool is terrified of the Hulk, but he did beat him one time. This took place in 1997's Deadpool number 4 when Deadpool needed to challenge the Hulk to get some of his blood in order to counteract the gamma radiation affecting Wade. Deadpool, scared out of his wits, went into this fight just trying to ask for some of the green stuff coursing through the Hulk's veins, and unsurprisingly, the Hulk wasn't really about it. After trying his darndest to get what he wanted, the Hulk was just a bit too much for Wade to handle, so he came up with a cunning plan. As the Hulk jumped up in the air, probably planning to squash Wade when he came back down, Deadpool positioned a post on the ground just so perfectly that the Hulk wound up impaling himself right on it when he came back down. Even Deadpool remarked that it shouldn't be possible at all, but there is no other way he realistically could have won. Now, another character that Deadpool realistically has no hope of actually beating, and he probably knows it, would be the other strongest Avenger, Thor. But when it comes to Thor, we've actually got a few times where he just completely decimated Wade. And the weirdest part is that Thor doesn't seem to give a single care. He genuinely dislikes and is annoyed by Deadpool. In 2012's Deadpool Annual number 1, Thor lands on a rooftop and sees Daredevil being attacked by Deadpool, who is also fighting Madcap at the same time. Thor just kinda gets tired of their fight and just brings down a lightning bolt which accidentally disintegrates both Deadpool and Madcap to complete ash, and then he just claims it was a warrior's death and he flies off. This is when Madcap and Deadpool merge while their bodies heal together, and they get stuck in the same body for years and through tons of Deadpool's adventures. Eventually, they run into Thor yet again, but this time alongside Luke Cage, and the two superheroes literally rip Deadpool in half, and then Thor just flies off again like it was nothing. Next up, once Deadpool crossed over to the hero side of things, he still had to kind of shed his villain / Hitman persona. So he goes to get advice from Spider-Man in Deadpool number 19 to 21. Now, Spider-Man assumes that Deadpool was the one to wipe out a whole swath of criminals posted up in a convenience store, but it actually wasn't him. It was actually Hitmonkey, the Japanese macaque who learned the skills of an assassin from a wounded assassin seeking refuge with his clan, and now he was after Deadpool. Deadpool basically asks Spider-Man for help and they set up in a warehouse, but during the very short scuffle after Hitmonkey actually shows up, Deadpool literally runs away, while wearing a maid outfit too. It's really quite hilarious. But Deadpool has faced world-ending threats, but a monkey hitman is where he decides to break it and just run, even alongside Spider-Man. He would later face Hitmonkey after setting a trap for the crazy little guy, but that ended in more of a draw than anything else. They have worked together since this time, but Hitmonkey very clearly seems to make Deadpool at least a tiny bit afraid. Now, being a Deadpool-centric video, I think it's only fair to include a point that is just as wacky as Wade Wilson is. And for this point, we're gonna talk about cows. Deadpool is known to have a few actual phobias. Some of the few include clowns, possibly chickens, and the fear of being absolutely alone. But one of the funniest of his fears would be the fear of cows. Deadpool has bovinophobia, which is the fear of cows. According to him, cows scare the pants off of him, and it's mainly for the fact that he believes their stares to be just incredibly chilling. As he puts it, it's like they're waiting. So basically, any cow you ever see in Marvel Comics, terrifying for Deadpool. There are the very first Skrulls in Marvel Comics who shape-shifted into cows. There's the New Men cows Bova and Babel. There's Bessie, aka Hell Cow, who is already scary without the phobia. And then there's the Asgardian cow Audumbla, one of the second beings to ever exist in Norse mythology. And there's the mutant Evelyn the X-Cow. And pretty much just any cow really is gonna be a bad time for Deadpool. Now, of all the people in the universe to have a rivalry with Thanos, the Mad Titan, the Merc with the Mouth is probably one of the last ones you'd expect. But funnily enough, it's all over a girl. Or a cosmic entity, really. You see, for the longest time, Thanos has been simping hard for Mistress Death, the literal embodiment of death in the Marvel Universe. But because of Deadpool's many run-ins with Death itself, and how he basically keeps escaping her, this lady has been quite interested in the Merc for a hot minute now, and Wade fell hard for her as well. They would have actually made a really good couple, to be perfectly honest, but the big purple problem is Thanos. Thanos had essentially cursed Deadpool with immortality for the sole purpose of keeping Wade and the Mistress unable to come together. But as some of you may know, Thanos is one of the most powerful and ruthless villains in the Marvel Universe, and he can and has done other horrible things to Deadpool just for funsies. But that's all I've got. Thank you guys so much for watching today on Top 10 Nerd. I'm your host, Adam Andrews. I will catch you all on the flippy flop, but until then though, be sure to stay safe and peace out, nerds.